Do you know Micah Smith?
Michael Smith, Senator?
Micah, M-I-C-H.
I don't believe I know a Micah Smith, Senator, no.
Okay. I bet the victims of Micah Smith remember Micah Smith if you don't.
Hello, Patriots. Today, we're ripping back the curtain on the silent war being waged against America's core freedoms, right there in our very own courthouses, and exposing exactly how we, the unwavering defenders of liberty, can fight back and reclaim our nation. Are you absolutely fed up, Patriots? Are you watching our sacred values being chipped away, our traditions openly mocked, and the very foundation of our nation's strength undermined by those who should be upholding justice? If your blood is boiling, if your heart aches for the America we cherish, then you found your home here at Signal 76. Don't just sit there. Ignite that spark in your soul. Subscribe right now. Hit that thunderous like button and share this crucial message with every single patriot you know, because the raw, unvarnished truth is about to be unleashed like a hurricane. And trust me, you will want to watch every single second of this video, right to the very end, because we're delivering critical, game-changing insights that the corrupt mainstream media establishment refuses to even whisper about.
You have more sympathy for the criminal than the victim, don't you?
Senator, I worked on behalf of victims of crime zealously as a prosecutor. As a judge, I listened carefully to understand impact on victims, and I have always take that into account.
Do you know Micah Smith?
Michael Smith, Senator?
Micah, M-I-C-H.
I don't believe I know a Micah Smith, Senator, no.
Okay. I bet the victims of Micah Smith remember Micah Smith if you don't.
Senator, there was a defendant I sentenced named Michael Smith.
Mr. Smith molested a 4-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, he was convicted after trial of unlawful sexual contact under Maine law.
That's a nice way of putting it.
That was the charge, Senator.
Right. Mr. Smith molested a 9-year-old girl, didn't he?
Senator, again, he was convicted of unlawful sexual contact against 2 children. In that case, I did impose the sentence the state requested.
At oral argument, this is how Mr. Smith's conduct was described. Quote, you heard this testimony. All of the abuse is done in the same fashion. Smith would rub his fingers in a circular motion on the vagina of each child, and he did so repeatedly. Now, where I come from, we call that sexual abuse. You can pretty it up all you want to, Judge. This is what you said at Mr. Micah's sentencing. These are your words, not mine. What I can say, you said, is that this is a very tragic situation of a person who has a lot of good in him. A lot of good in him. Having done a very reprehensible thing to 2 young children causing extreme damage. Did I read that correctly?
Senator, in that case, I imposed the sentence the state requested.
Did I read your quotation correctly?
Senator, that I think is a portion of what I said at sentencing. My focus was on...
But the words I read, are they correct?
That's what was reported in the paper, Senator. I have not seen a transcript of the sentencing.
I bet the victims remember, Judge. You might have forgotten, just like you forgot his name, but I bet the victims remember. And then you handed down a sentence. You gave Mr. Smith 12 years, but you suspended 6 of them, didn't you?
Senator, that was at the recommendation of the state because
but it was your ruling. Did you? Is that an accurate statement of your ruling?
Senator, I accepted the state's recommendation that 6 years should be suspended so that Mr. Smith would be required to participate in sex offender treatment.
I appreciate the lengthy explanation, but I think it's a pretty simple question. That was your sentence, right?
Yes, I imposed the sentence the state requested in that case.
Are you familiar with the Bangor Daily News?
I am the Bangor Daily News senator.
Right. Did you read the article they wrote, quote, "Light sentences send a message that domestic violence does not matter," end quote. You remember that article?
I have read it, Senator. I believe it mischaracterizes a case that is
That was
described.
article was about you, wasn't it?
My recollection, Senator, is that it described several different cases. The case that I worked on that was described there, the defendant in that case was acquitted by a jury of the most serious conduct, and that was not reflected in that article. And
So the newspaper got it wrong.
that was an op-ed that I believe misunderstood what happened, which is the jury acquitted the defendant of the most serious conduct that he was charged with. I was not the fact finder in that case, and so at sentencing I was bound by the jury's verdict.
Let me ask you, I'm going to run out of time here. I wish I had more time for you, Ms. Campbell, but I've seen a lot of activist judges, and I'm not saying you're the most activist, but the list you're on, it sure doesn't take long to call the roll. Let me finish with this question. I'm going to end as I began, Judge Lopez. You have more sympathy for criminals than victims, don't you?
Senator, I have the support of the Maine Coalition to End Domestic Violence and the Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I believe that support is a reflection of the work I did as a prosecutor, as well as the care I take with cases involving victims as a judge.
You're embarrassed to answer my question, aren't you?
Thank you to the nominees for being here. I'm sorry that I was unable to preside, but in the capable hands of my colleague, Peter Welch. Judge Lopez.
We're not talking about abstract political debates here, patriots. We are diving deep, hands-on, into a real, tangible threat to our very way of life, embodied in the actions of a judicial nominee. A person poised to wield immense power, a supposed guardian of justice, who appears to possess more misguided sympathy for hardened criminals than for their innocent, shattered victims. This isn't merely some dry legal argument. This is a full-blown battle for the very soul of our nation, for the safety of our communities, and for the purity of our children's future. Let's talk about one specific, gut-wrenching example that exposes this nominee's deeply troubling judicial philosophy. We're talking about the case of Michael Smith. Remember that name. A man who committed unspeakable acts, molesting 2 innocent young girls. When confronted about her shockingly lenient sentencing of this predator, this nominee, unbelievably, offered excuses. She tried to hide behind legal jargon, behind bureaucratic procedures, as if the pain of those children was just a footnote in a dusty legal text. And then, the ultimate betrayal of justice. She dared to utter the words that this predator, this individual who shattered lives, had a lot of good in him. A lot of good in him? What kind of twisted logic is this? What kind of moral compass allows for such a statement when innocent children are the victims? This isn't an isolated incident, patriots. This isn't just one bad apple. It's a symptom, a dangerous pattern, a deeply embedded trend of soft-on-crime policies that are actively endangering our families, our neighborhoods, and the very fabric of our communities. It's an ideology that elevates the rights of the offender above the safety of the law-abiding citizen. And we, the unwavering patriots of Signal 76, will not stand for it. We refuse to be silent while our nation is weakened from within. This nominee, when pressed, claims she worked zealously for victims as a prosecutor and listens carefully as a judge. But her actions, her very words, betray that claim. When the state recommends a suspended sentence for a sex offender, as she pointed out, it's a failure of the system. It's a loophole that allows predators to walk free too soon, to threaten our children again. It's a system that prioritizes rehabilitation above punishment, above justice, above the very real need to protect the vulnerable. And let's not forget the mainstream media's role in all of this. We saw the Bangor Daily News try to expose some of these issues, criticizing light sentences in domestic violence cases. But even then, this nominee tried to deflect, claiming they mischaracterized the case. Why is it always deflection? Why is it always excuses when the truth of their leniency is brought to light? This is the kind of accountability, the kind of transparency that the establishment fears. This is why they try to silence voices like ours. This is more than just a legal battle. It's a cultural war for the soul of America. It's a fight against an ideology that seeks to dismantle everything we hold dear: law and order, personal responsibility, the sanctity of life, and the protection of the innocent. We must hold these individuals, these judges, these nominees, these politicians accountable. We must demand judges who possess an unshakable moral clarity, who prioritize the safety and well-being of our law-abiding citizens over the twisted rights of criminals. We must stand firm, shoulder to shoulder, against this insidious assault on our foundational values and fight with every fiber of our being for a swift and decisive return to common sense, to unyielding justice, and to the strength that once defined our nation. This is not a suggestion, patriots. This is an urgent, fervent call to action. We need each and every one of you to be loud, to be proud, to be utterly unwavering in your defense of our great nation. Share this video far and wide. Make it go viral. Comment your thoughts, your anger, your determination. Let your collective voice be a roaring thunder that shakes the very foundations of the swamp. Join local patriotic groups, attend town hall meetings, vote for judges who will uphold the law, not twist it. Engage in the fight. Your voice matters. Your actions matter. Together, we will reclaim our country, restore its moral backbone, and return it to its former, unshakable glory. This is Signal 76, standing tall, fighting for freedom. Remember to subscribe for more hard-hitting truths, more unwavering patriotic content, and to be part of the movement that saves America. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.